It doesn't start with strategy. It doesn't begin with goals, to-do lists, or 5-year plans. It starts with a fire, a quiet, aching, relentless fire. A hunger so deep that sleep can't sedate it. A vision so vivid that doubt can't touch it. A commitment so ruthless that comfort doesn't stand a chance. This is not about being interested. This is not about motivation. This is not about hype. This is about obsession. Because the world belongs to the obsessed, not the curious, not the casual, not the ones who dabble when it's easy, but the ones who burn for it, who wake up thinking about it, sleep dreaming about it, and live moving toward it. If success is your wish, you'll negotiate. If success is your preference, you'll delay. But if success is your obsession, you'll do whatever it takes. You'll outlast the doubt. You'll outrun the lazy. You'll outwork the gifted, because obsession beats talent when talent isn't obsessed. And obsession isn't loud. It's not glamorous. It's not posted all over social media for applause. It's quiet. It's sacred. It's personal. It's that 4:00 a.m. alarm you don't ignore. It's that hour in the gym when no one's watching. It's that no to distractions when everyone else is saying yes. Obsession is built in silence, proven in discipline, and revealed in results. But here's the part they don't tell you. To be obsessed with success, truly obsessed, you have to kill who you were. Not in part, in full. You must bury the version of you that needed permission, that waited to be chosen, that crumbled when criticized, that sought comfort more than greatness. You must become someone so aligned with your vision that mediocrity feels like pain. Because when you're obsessed, average hurts. Wasting time hurts. Distractions feel like betrayal. Excuses feel like poison. You stop tolerating anything that doesn't pull you forward. You stop explaining your goals to small minds. You stop negotiating with laziness. You stop making decisions based on emotions and start living from conviction. Because obsession doesn't care how you feel today. It only knows one direction: forward. Forward when it's raining. Forward when it's lonely. Forward when it's boring. Forward when no one believes in you, especially then. Because obsession is fueled by clarity. Not the kind of clarity that comes from inspiration, the kind that comes from decision. The decision that says, this is who I am now. Not someday. Not when I have time. Not if everything aligns. Now, obsession doesn't ask the world for permission. It tells the world, watch me. Watch me build when they sleep. Watch me rise when they rest. Watch me keep going when they quit. Because I don't need perfect conditions. I am the condition. I don't need motivation. I am the motive. And that mindset, it rewires everything. You start to see pain as part of the process. You stop craving praise and start chasing progress. You stop wondering, how long will it take? And start thinking, as long as it takes. That's the difference. That's obsession. It's not just what you want, it's what you're willing to become to get it. You become disciplined. You become relentless. You become dangerously consistent. Because obsession doesn't visit, it moves in. It lives in your calendar. It shows up in your language. It bleeds through your habits. It burns behind your eyes. People can feel it not because you brag, but because your presence commands attention. And not everyone will understand. Not everyone will clap. Some will mock it. Some will try to dim it. Some will tell you to relax, to slow down, to be realistic. But obsession is never realistic. It defies logic. It offends average. It breaks rules. It builds empires from thin air and turns nobodies into legends. So you can't listen to the world because the world settles. The world plays safe. The world teaches moderation, balance, and backup plans. But obsession teaches something different. It teaches domination. It teaches that there's no plan B, only plan become. Become so focused they can't ignore you. Become so excellent they can't replace you. Become so consistent they have to respect you even if they don't like you. And That's the cost. Because obsession will cost you comfort, approval, weekends, excuses, and sometimes even relationships. But it will pay you with clarity, power, freedom, impact, and a life you don't need to escape from. So choose. Do you want to be liked or legendary? Do you want comfort or conviction? Do you want balance or breakthrough? Because you can't have both. Not here. Not on the path of the obsessed. The obsessed don't fit in. They stand out. They don't wait, they work. They don't wish, they win. And every single day, they show up like the whole world depends on it. Because in their world, it does. Because when you're truly obsessed, there's no separation between life and mission. Your work is worship. Your effort is identity. Your actions are alignment. You don't show up to impress. You show up to express what's burning inside you. Every step becomes sacred. Every choice becomes a vote for the future you refuse to live without. Every breath, a declaration. I will not die with my potential still in me. That's what obsession gives you. A refusal to live small. A war against average. A sacred vow that says, I won't settle for surviving when I was built to create, to lead, to conquer. You no longer ask what's easy. You ask what's necessary. You no longer wait for the world to wake up. You become the wake-up call. You no longer try to be balanced because the scale is tipped toward destiny. Your life is now a study in extreme focus. And in that focus, you lose things. Comfort, closeness with the complacent, the illusion of fitting in. But what you gain the edge, the discipline that makes others pause, the work ethic that silences doubters, the presence that demands respect. Because when you're obsessed, you don't compete. You outlast. You outalign. You outdecide. You outbelieve. And your belief isn't soft, it's steel. Unshakable. Unbreakable. Unapologetically committed to what you said you'd do. You become the type of person who's not moved by mood, who doesn't need hype, who doesn't flinch when the process gets heavy. Because to you, the process is home. The pain is part of the price. The sweat is part of the story. The sacrifice is part of the success. You stop measuring your work by outcomes. You measure it by alignment. Did I keep my word? Did I show up when I didn't feel like it? Did I move the vision forward when it would have been easier to pause? Because that's what obsession is. It's the version of you who keeps going when the old you would have stopped. It's not for everyone. Most will never understand it. They'll tell you to relax, to slow down, to take the edge off. But the edge is where your greatness lives. The edge is what sharpens your purpose. The edge is where you become untouchable. So don't soften for them. Don't shrink for them. Don't edit yourself to make them feel better about standing still. Stay sharp. Stay focused. Stay unavailable to anything that doesn't move you toward the life you said you wanted. Because the obsessed don't clock out. They build around the clock, not out of desperation, but out of devotion, because they know success doesn't show up for the interested. It shows up for the obsessed. The obsessed are rare, but they're the ones who change everything. They're the ones who refuse to quit when the results aren't immediate. The ones who choose silence over sympathy, sacrifice over shortcuts, discipline over distraction, because they've made a decision that most never will. They'd rather be misunderstood now than mediocre forever. They'd rather grind in obscurity than glow in comfort. They'd rather lose sleep today than lose their soul to regret tomorrow. Because regret is the real cost, the silent killer, the weight that never leaves, the heaviness of knowing you could have, you should have, but you didn't because you were more concerned with balance than breakthrough. But not you, not anymore. You've tasted the hunger that won't go away. You've heard the voice that won't be silenced. You've felt the pull, the calling to rise. Not just once, but every single day. That's what obsession demands. Not a moment, but a lifestyle. You eat it. You breathe it. You bleed it. And no, it's not always glamorous. It's not always aesthetic. It's not always comfortable. But it is necessary, because no one who changed the world did it part-time. No one who rewrote the rules did it halfway. No one who created a legacy did it with balance as the goal. They were all in, and you must be too. All in on your standards. All in on your execution. All in on your evolution. Because obsession is not something you turn on when it's convenient. It becomes who you are. It becomes the voice that says, this isn't optional. This isn't casual. This is who I am now. And once you're that person, the obsessed person, everything around you begins to shift. The lazy won't understand you. The average won't like you. The small-minded will criticize you. Let them. You didn't come to fit in. You came to lead. To build something so real, so rare, so extraordinary, that one day they'll say, I remember when they started. I didn't get it then, but now I see it. But by the time they see it, you'll be long gone, too far ahead, too focused, too deep in the fire to be reached by the noise, because that's where you live now, in the fire, in the focus, in the frequency of those who are no longer hoping for success. They're becoming it. Becoming success means you no longer chase moments. You create movements. You no longer wish for motivation. You become momentum. You no longer wait for signs. You become the signal. You are the proof that obsession is not madness. It's mastery. The kind of mastery that's earned in repetition, in solitude, in sacrifice, that no one claps for. Because obsession doesn't ask for applause. It doesn't need an audience. It just needs a reason. And once you have your reason, your why, so sharp it cuts through every excuse, you're dangerous. Because now, you're no longer fueled by emotion. You're fueled by identity. This is just who you are now. Not part-time. Not when it's easy. Not when you feel inspired. Always. You don't ask, can I do this? You declare, I am this. Because once obsession settles into your bones, everything shifts. You move different. You speak different. You choose different. You no longer tolerate what doesn't elevate. You no longer entertain what doesn't align. You no longer engage in battles that don't build you. Your time becomes sacred. Your focus becomes law. Your energy becomes priceless. You protect your peace with the same intensity you use to protect your comfort. But now, your comfort is growth. Now, your normal is exceptional. Your baseline is world-class. Your standards are non-negotiable, because obsession has no off switch. There is no weekend version of you. There is no sometimes discipline. There is no almost commitment. There is only forward. There is only fire. There is only the next step, the next rep, the next right move, until the vision becomes reality. And even then, you keep going, because success was never the goal. It was the standard. And now, so are you. You are the standard now, the embodiment of discipline, the reflection of resilience, the result of relentless repetition. You no longer wait to feel ready. You move ready, because waiting is for the uncertain. But you're decided. And once you're truly decided, there is no turning back. You don't revisit old doubts. You don't entertain second opinions. You don't ask people what they think, because you already know what you're here to do. You're not looking for shortcuts. You are the long road. You're not hoping for favor. You are the force, and people will feel it. Not because you're loud, but because your energy walks in before you do. Because your conviction cuts through every conversation. Because your consistency makes people stop and rethink their lives. That's what obsession does. It becomes magnetic, not because you're trying to impress, but because obsession shines so brightly, it exposes everyone still sleeping on themselves. You don't preach. You prove. You don't sell. You show. You don't need hype. Your habits speak louder than your words ever could. And every morning, before the world wakes, before anyone texts, before the noise starts, you're there, in the dark, in the grind, in the becoming. You don't need to be told what to do. You already did it. You don't need reminders. You are the reminder. You are the signal that says, this is what it looks like to take full responsibility for your destiny. Not halfway, not someday, not when you feel like it. Every single day. And that's why you win. Not because you're smarter, not because you're more talented, but because you refuse to be out-consistent. You refuse to negotiate with mediocrity. You refuse to slow down for those who stopped walking. You refuse to become what they expect, because what they expect is small. But you were never meant for small. You were built to break patterns, built to break cycles, built to break through. And now, you're not just chasing success. You are obsessed with becoming the person success was always trying to find. Because success doesn't come to the wishful. It doesn't bow to the comfortable. It doesn't chase the lukewarm. It chooses the obsessed. The ones who burn for it when no one's watching. The ones who don't need motivation because they've built momentum. The ones who aren't waiting for the perfect time because now is the time. Now is the only time that matters. Now is the edge where winners are forged. Now is the space where most hesitate, and you move. You move when others pause. You rise when others rest. You execute when others excuse. Because the difference between average and unstoppable isn't genetics, connections, or even intelligence. It's obsession. It's what you do when it's no longer exciting. It's who you are when no one's clapping. It's how you respond when everything in you wants to break, and you build instead. You've stopped looking for balance. You've chosen alignment. You don't fear burnout. You fear becoming forgettable. You don't water down your fire for approval. You turn it up until it scorches your limitations. And that fire, it's yours now. It lives in your breath. It speaks through your actions. It wakes with you, eats with you, walks with you. It is the heartbeat of your future calling you to rise. And rise you do. Relentless, nonstop, unapologetically consistent. Because this is no longer a goal. It's a lifestyle. It's a frequency. It's a vow that says, I will not let comfort keep me average. I will not let distractions rewrite my destiny. I will not die with my greatness unused. This is obsession. This is the version of you that never checks the clock because time bends to the determined. This is the version of you that doesn't just survive the grind. You thrive in it because the grind doesn't break you anymore. It reveals you. And the world is about to see what happens when someone decides to stop dabbling and starts dominating. Because once you're obsessed, you don't quit. You don't fade. You don't stop. You arrive, you conquer, and you become the definition of success itself. Because now you embody it. You don't chase it, you radiate it. You don't reach for it, you become the gravity that pulls it in. Success bends toward obsession. It finds the one who refuses to be denied. It honors the one who shows up after failure. It trusts the one who keeps showing up, even when no one's clapping. You've become that one. The uncommon, the unstoppable, the unfazed. You no longer flinch when it's hard, because hard is now home. You no longer hesitate when it's risky, because risk is where your edge lives. You no longer run from resistance, because resistance is the forge. And in that forge, something happened. You stopped asking, is this worth it? You started asking, am I becoming worth it? And that shift changed everything. Because now you don't measure progress by applause. You measure it by alignment. You don't wait for motivation. You move from mission. And your mission, it isn't to be liked. It isn't to be understood. It isn't to make sense to people still sleepwalking through their own lives. Your mission is to become a force so focused that everything not aligned with greatness simply falls away. That's what obsession does. It clears the fog. It burns away the fluff. It leaves only the essential, who you are and where you're going. And now you know both. You are the builder, the warrior, the architect of a future they can't yet see, but will never be able to ignore. Because obsession doesn't knock. It kicks the door open. It doesn't ask for the spotlight. It becomes the standard. And you are no longer chasing success. You are success. Obsessed, embodied, unstoppable. And the moment you become it, everything changes. You don't show up hoping, you show up certain. You don't try to impress, you imprint. You don't fear the competition, you become the comparison. You are no longer driven by external goals alone. You are pulled by an internal standard that doesn't sleep, doesn't soften, doesn't settle. Because settling is now betrayal to your future, to your fire, to the version of you that knew, even in the silence, I'm built for more. And that more, it's not luck. It's not chance. It's not magic. It's earned every day, every rep, every lonely, silent, unseen hour where you chose discipline over delay. That's obsession. It's the invisible grind that builds the visible life. And you're living that now, not just thinking it, not just talking about it, living it. You've become the one they watch, the one they question, the one they try to figure out. How do they keep going? And the answer, you don't keep going. You never stop. Because this is identity now. This is your blood. This is your standard, and you don't lower it. Not for fatigue, not for pressure, not for people who stopped at good enough. Because good enough never satisfied you. What satisfies you now is becoming undeniable. And to become undeniable, you must stay obsessed. Obsessed with building. Obsessed with learning. Obsessed with sharpening your edge until there's no version of you that can be ignored. And that obsession, that's not a burden. That's your freedom. Because the obsessed don't chase motivation. They generate it. They wake it up. They walk with it. So you walk forward, focused and on fire. Because now you're not interested. You're not halfway in. You're not part-time greatness. You are all in. You are obsessed. And the world is about to find out what happens when a person like you refuses to be average 1 second longer. Because 1 second longer an average is a second stolen from your greatness. And you've sacrificed enough already. You've sacrificed your time, your confidence, your energy, your dreams on the altar of hesitation, distraction, and approval. But now, you're done bleeding for a life that never fed you. You're done leaking potential for people who never saw you. You're done dimming for rooms you were meant to own. Now you build with rage in your ribs, with peace in your spine, with a fire that doesn't flicker because it's no longer tied to emotion. It's tied to identity. You are the obsessed, the outlier, the anomaly, the one who traded comfort for clarity, convenience for commitment, distraction for domination. You've crossed the line. And once you cross that line from casual to committed, from interested to obsessed, there's no going back. You can't go back. Not because they won't take you, but because the old life doesn't fit anymore. The habits, the excuses, the low standards, they don't belong in this chapter. They don't belong in the same room with the version of you that wakes up every day and says, let's build a life no one can take credit for but me. And you will. Because obsession doesn't care about obstacles, it expects them. Obsession doesn't avoid pressure, it performs under it. Obsession doesn't wait for the path, it paves it. And as you walk it, you realize this was never about success alone. This was about proving to yourself that you could rise, that you could finish, that you could become exactly who you were created to be. And now that you've tasted that becoming, nothing else satisfies. Nothing else compares. Nothing else will ever be enough again. Because once you live obsessed, you stop chasing outcomes and start embodying the unstoppable. And when you embody the unstoppable, you walk different. You speak different. You command differently, not with arrogance, but with authority. The kind that can't be bought, faked, or borrowed. The kind that's carved from hours no one saw, from pain no one helped you carry, from decisions no one understood. And now, you don't need them to understand. You don't need them to support. You don't need them to believe, because you believe. You believe in the grind when it gets quiet. You believe in the vision when it gets blurry. You believe in the outcome before the results arrive. And that belief, it becomes bulletproof. The kind that can't be shaken by delay. The kind that can't be broken by criticism. The kind that can't be killed by silence. Because obsession doesn't die in the dark. It grows there. While they rest, you rise. While they scroll, you sculpt. While they talk, you transform. And what you're building, it's not just a business, not just a brand, not just a career. You're building a legacy, the kind your future self will thank you for, the kind your bloodline will feel, the kind that makes mediocrity tremble at your name. Because when obsession takes over, you no longer walk with hesitation. You walk with conviction. You no longer hope it works. You know it will. Because it's not a question of if anymore. It's only a matter of when. And when it comes, when the doors open, when the reward hits, when the world finally sees what you've become, you won't be surprised. You won't be shocked. You'll be ready. Because you didn't get lucky. You stayed obsessed. And that changes everything. It changes how you breathe, how you move, how you choose. Because now, you don't move from pressure, you move from purpose. You don't chase opportunity, you create it. You don't beg for favor, you command it through consistency. This is what it means to be truly obsessed. You don't dabble, you decide. You don't hope, you hammer. You don't wish, you work every single day without fail. Because you know success isn't about one big moment. It's about a million little ones stacked without apology. You know, obsession means sacrifice. It means saying no more than you say yes. It means missing out on what's now so you never miss what's yours. It means late nights, early mornings, long hours, and quiet wins. It means being misunderstood, misread, even mocked. But you smile because they don't get it yet. They haven't felt what you've felt. They haven't burned for something like this. They haven't bled for something like this. You have, and you still do, because this isn't a phase. It's not a sprint. It's not a wave. It's a lifestyle. You've rewired your DNA. You've redefined your normal. You've replaced excuses with execution, comfort with conquest, noise with non-negotiables. And now the world feels it. They may not be able to name it, but when you walk in the room, something shifts. It's not charisma, it's clarity. It's not ego, it's ownership. It's not hype, it's heaven-bent discipline, forged in the fire of focus. You've become what few dare to even dream. A soul on fire, a life in motion, a storm that walks on purpose, not to impress, not to compete, but to complete the mission you were born to fulfill. Because obsession, real obsession, is not about chasing the world. It's about becoming the version of you the world can't ignore. And now that you've become that version, you don't look back. You don't revisit old habits. You don't apologize for your intensity. You don't negotiate your edge to fit someone else's comfort zone. You've crossed the line from someday to now, from I'll try to I must, from wishing for more to walking like you already own it. Because in your mind, it's already done. The success, the impact, the legacy. It's not a dream anymore, it's a decision. And that decision, it demands obsession. Obsession with details. Obsession with discipline. Obsession with becoming so valuable, so skilled, so undeniable that the world has no choice but to respond. And even if it doesn't, you don't flinch because your validation isn't external, it's etched in your effort. You've already won because you became the kind of person who refuses to lose. And while they chase motivation, you live in momentum. While they wait for signs, you become the signal. While they seek permission, you move in conviction. And now, you are proof. Proof that obsession is not crazy, it's necessary. That discipline isn't restrictive, it's freedom. That clarity isn't cold, it's power. You are the living reminder that success doesn't come to those who want it. It comes to those who won't live without it. So you keep going, keep burning, keep rising. Let them call you extreme. Let them call you intense. Let them say you're too focused. Because focused wins. Extreme builds empires. And obsessed rewrites history. You're not chasing success anymore. You've become it. And now, you don't stop. You scale. You shatter ceilings. You change everything. You've become the signal. You've become the standard. You've become the storm. No more waiting. No more balance. No more asking for room in rooms you were born to own. From now on, they don't invite you. You arrive. You lead. You change the temperature of every space you walk into. Because obsession didn't make you crazy. It made you clear. It made you dangerous to mediocrity. It made you deadly to distraction. It made you untouchable to anything less than destiny. And now, you don't beg. You don't break. You don't back down. You build. You burn. You become. And the world will feel what happens. When one person, just one, dares to live with obsession so pure, so fierce, so final. It no longer asks, will I succeed? It declares, I am success. Not a version, not a piece, not a fragment wearing a mask of confidence. I am the embodiment of obsession realized. Because this isn't about goals anymore. This isn't about status. This isn't about applause. It's about dominion over your time, over your talent, over your territory. It's about reclaiming every part of yourself that you gave away to fear, to approval, to hesitation. No more. From now on, you walk like someone who's already arrived. You speak like someone who's already seen it. You build like someone who knows this is no longer a dream, it's inevitable. Because obsessed people don't hope. They execute. They become. And then they elevate everything around them. You are not here just to succeed. You are here to disrupt the pattern. To burn so brightly with purpose that the weak can't stand next to you. To create so boldly that the world has no choice but to shift. To live with such violent intention that time slows down when you speak. Because when obsession fuses with purpose, the result is unstoppable. And now you are that result. So don't lower the fire. Turn it up. Let them feel the heat of your presence. Let them sweat in the intensity of your standards. Let them either rise with you or get out of the way. Because you're not coming. You're already here. This is what happens when someone stops waiting, stops wishing, stops wondering, and finally decides, I will live obsessed and I will die fulfilled.